It's Enpo on the Fiora. In first game, he got left out to dry. In the second game, I want to see them play a little bit more around him, try to get him some help, as he now gets to play against the Jace instead of the Jax, and it will probably not be easier in the first few levels, at least with Jace being so dominant at that stage, as we, yeah. It takes some time with the camera work going out from the observers of the Vietnamese stream. That's of course a beautiful sight to see, and we're already a minute into this game and see no early action in the first minute as expected, but I mean we are in the VCS, and I was just speaking bullshit because we see it's actually Renekton plush top lane and the Jace in the mid lane. And why is B burning his flash level 1 for that? That was so obvious, man.
Why? Because that's why. Six, a couple of gold, man. Like the support items, they need nerf as fast as possible because it really can make such a big difference when you're a support. You ever hear the theory about Twitch Q at level 1? If you got Halo Blades, then like Twitch Q basically just gives you 60 gold because you can pop off. It's the same with V. As they continue to kind of lay pressure up off on the top side, that's the pause. I'm not loving that, Princey, because if we end up being here for an extended period of time, I'm going to fall asleep. So I'm hoping that this is just a very quick kind of temporary pause as we can establish ourselves inside of the series a little bit, inside of the game a little bit.
Yeah, I hope so too, because I am not mentally ready to solo cast and produce the VCS English today.
Let's go!
Gotta say though, if this drags on too long, Yulway will be ready, and maybe at some point even Spoots is ready again, so maybe I just get benched either way. So there's always like the pros and cons to every situation, as of course, in the greater scheme of things, I expect just like you, and also hope just like you, that this pause will just be like a 1 minute issue or something like this. But either way, we get a bit more time to really talk about this draft and what we really think about this Renekton to Fiora and the Jace into the Rumble matchup. I think the Rumble was a deliberate choice by the side of SBTC, of course. I mean, it was the R5 pickup, but were they in the know that the Jace will be mid and the Renekton will be top? I'm not quite sure about that. And the Renekton, that was definitely a deliberate choice to pick into this Fiora, so I think Nagia must be very confident right now that he can win this matchup. It is surprisingly not as easy as others would say, I guess, but as we say that, the break seems to be a bit longer than we initially hoped it would be.
Ooh. All right.
Actually, good point from your way in the chat. This series might just be cursed. I mean, this is also the series that got postponed in the first place, right? This series has to be.
The whole point of this series getting postponed was to prevent things like this from happening, though. So it is curious that this is happening anyway. I don't. Do you have any like kind of summary thoughts? Because we're obviously stepping out of game. Wait, are we right back in, or is this early?
We are right back in.
Oh, we're right back in. Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Okay, so this isn't that curse. Okay, Yulway is just Yulway's tweeting again, and it's causing problems. So that's perfectly acceptable. As we're right back into the bottom lane here, where again B and Vit had actually I think just recently burnt Slayer's something, but did not actually get it. I swear I saw. Oh, it was the heal. It was Palette's heal that they got right before the break had actually started. So the two of them able to kind of force things into the right position. As everybody actually on the side of Team Wales is getting a pushing lane right here and right now. Although Killer Queen's not in position to take advantage of it. Yeah, look at this. Every lane is pushed and pushing in a very significant manner to begin with, and yet Killer Queen is right now just not in position to take advantage.
Yeah, he's not. And there are a lot of summoner spells being burned by the bot lane from Team Wales while we were off screen, right? It was just not just the flash from B, but also barrier and heal from Vit being down. So there have been quite some trading shenanigans being going around. But so far, I mean, Varus Ashe, very dominant first few levels. We see it here again. 18 to 4 CS, of course, the wave gets pushed into the turret, so Zeri will clean up some of them. But as of right now, those two are getting quite annoyed by all the poke coming out from Varus and Ashe. It's so disgusting to watch. Like we have seen in the first game that if there is a skill difference, it's likely slightly the other way around. And this bot lane can still dominate as much as they can right now. But DNK is doing a wraparound gank, and this might just work out as the summoners are down.
Okay, we have a little bit. DNK kind of gets stalled up here. No way. DNK just kind of walks away from the situation, and everybody kind of throwing in extra damage. Nobody goes down. But DNK just kind of walked through the lane. Now Killer Queen has the potential of actually finding him. That is a really good tactic to block anything else. What in the world was that, Princey?
Did DNK just walk all the way and didn't even attack a single champion because his team wasn't following up because they were like fighting against 20 minutes at the same time? I think that's what happened. And then DNK just doing the full wrap around, Killer Queen just finding him and doing like the twisted advance auto attack combo to deal like 100 damage to net the kill. And yeah, that's one hell of a present for the side of Team Wales, with SBTC making it too easy for them.
Yeah, getting the first blood, being able to have access to first dragon, pushing power on the bottom side of the map. I mean, they could break loose mid lane. If they're able to break loose mid lane relatively quickly as this like Jace pick, then there comes a legitimate time where like you have to be very careful about the dragon swap coming here. Now with the TP to the bottom lane, actually for some reason I thought that it was Harper or Emperor that had actually TP to the bottom lane. It was Nagia who had gone to the bottom side of the map, likely to assist in some capacity. They do give up potential plates, but it's a question of how many plates can they actually grab up, because you got a Rift Herald that's not going to be spawning for another 3 minutes into this one. Dragon's going to be up in just another minute or so, and your child hasn't had like a twist off soda yet. Yeah,
not really looking good here. And Nagia also giving the thumb up to this other gang pulled up by DNK, with them not even being able to push through with the permafrost to even get like some CC and some good chunk of damage going on. And also in the bot lane we see this massive CS gap when kind of extending through this whole play we've seen earlier. Also an assist on top of that from the gang play we have seen earlier, which makes it even more rough for Slater and Palette, as D1 is clearing the wave and doing some poke damage with this equalizer. That's annoying for Glory, right? He wants to base, but he also doesn't want to drop like some CS, so he gets forced to TP back to the lane. He's out of mana, so he definitely thinks he has to base at some point very, very soon. But he's, yeah, cancelling his recall again to grab this wave, and then he can finally get to base and get his recall on. So D1 really annoying to him here.
Ooh. I was waiting. I could see glimpses of just like the delicious kind of options to have as bottom lane. More action. B was stepping up really aggressively on the Ashe to be able to put some extra damage into Slater, who actually took a very large brunt of it with some additional healing. Only thing left is just the Vamp Scepter now. Oh my goodness, man. It is just raining problems on Slater right now, as it has just been B who's been belligerent about making that happen. All right. We have a dive.
We might have one of those players from SBTC was recalling. It was actually Slater being the one to pull it off, and this might just be the thing that kind of breaks it, as the wave gets cleared out beforehand. Killer Queen still very patient to maybe pull off the dive, but he then wisely chose against it. I think it's very risky to dive this with so low damage against Sejuani Lulu. Not quite easy to pull it off. So better safe than sorry and pull away here with Killer Queen. Yeah, still, he's still not quite done here, but now he is. Young away with the blast plant and deciding against this dive. As this game, however, Emperor not getting any help from his team, aside from that one small chip away from DNK. At this game, he's doing much better against the Renekton than last game he was against the Jax from Nagia. And he could have picked Jax again, right?
Yeah, those are some bold words, Quincy, saying that they're at least comparable to Magnus Carlsen. I mean, out of fairness, I can't say I'm super disagreeing. It feels like both teams actually are really well versed inside of the macro game. It's just about figuring out where they need to set their feet for some of the micro stuff. So hopefully, coaches over the next couple of months are going to be able to develop that just a little bit further. Man, I was waiting for Emperor to pop up, but he just could not get either one of the zones they came in.
Yeah, just kind of weird. With B being in the mid lane right now. Gold lead being almost 2k, that's surprisingly large, I would say, for the state of the game we are in right now, with top lane even being down a few CS. The bot lane difference in this game just looks so astonishingly large, and it's just kind of the reverse from last game, right? Where it was the bot lane falling behind from the side of Team Wales, and the top lane kind of, 1v9ing the whole game, and this is what we could almost say with what Nagia did in that game. On this game, I mean, bot lane from Team Wales, now the eyes are on them. They have the picks to deliver it. They also got the focus on the team to deliver it. And so far, they are looking good. And especially Vit has something to prove, I guess.
Vit the Stratford, just being able to throw that name out there. Do you know him personally? Is that what it is?
No. What are you referencing?
Oh. Vit? Didn't you say Vit's entire name right there? Actually, okay. Back to bottom side really quick, because we're just getting some auto trades. Palette took a decent amount of damage, and Vit, your best friend, actually was a part of that one. I swear you were talking about Vit for a second, but maybe I'm hallucinating because it's just too early on in the game. The Pog slide gets Slater out of a bad situation. You can see XP. The solo lanes aren't dragging behind massively, but 2,500 gold. It feels like nothing from Wales should be netting them a 2,500 gold advantage. But look at like CS, it's just like top lane's meh, jungle is okay. It's 4 camps technically from DL1 ahead of the Sejuani, which is a pretty massive deal. And then you got basically 2 Eves in mid lane. You got 3 or 4 in the bottom lane. Like that's where so much of this advantage, and plates obviously pushing with all this power, get you really easy access to plates. There's an in lane
dive on top.
That's a very, I was gonna say a very dead Nagia, but it's just not the case. He's able to use his double E and kind of flash out. Q was really risky position to actually find yourself in right there from Killer Queen, and also specifically from a bunch of other players, because throwing that shock blast right there from Glory, it felt like it was, not to say that it wasn't pressuring multiple members out of the fight, more so that it was like the people who were contributing to the fight primarily were not those that were hurt, so it didn't actually end up doing that much. But one thing or another, it thwarts them from taking any more than just an additional plate on the top side of the map. And I think that's really, really good for this song.
Yeah, that's a lot of resources expended just to get a single plate. I mean, of course, they were falling down in exactly that regard, but it's still a lot of expended on that. And they almost managed to die in the situation as well, with Killer Queen doing some damage with the twisted advance on the turret against Fiora, and Glory just couldn't quite follow it up. Nagia also dropped too low. He was the initial target, dropped to like 100 HP, and with the Dominos even, he can't just constantly just mash into them, even with a fully stacked Fury bar and the counter Mickey couldn't heal enough for that, but the damage has been done kind of to the side of the top side of Team Wales. But this means on a cross map, Killer Queen has some free time to start off this Drake, and maybe he can just easily finish it off before DNK even gets a chance to contest it.
Yeah, with the pushing power on bottom side, you're always going to have the step up of the Ashe and the Varus, so it's so hard, even if DNK had full access to this jungle pit, to walk in any capacity. So now, walking out with their first, that is first dragon of the game. I'm not reading that incorrectly, right?
Yeah, it's here.
Okay. We're 12 minutes in, 1 kill, 1 dragon. Like, this is not VCS, Crincy. This is not what I was labeled when I was told I was.
It's out of character. Yeah, we get scammed.
That is true. Yeah, I'm getting completely wrecked here, which does suck. You can see long distance engage kind of used on a crossing route in between the mid lane, looking for something, just trying to spark something. Instead, it just ends up being the big Rift Herald crash, which is a couple hundred gold and nothing really more to deal with here inside of this mid game.
Yeah, at least they just force out the equalizer from side of Dire 1 with B landing his Enchanted Crystal Arrow, so this push defense kind of gets halted a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's just 1 plate falling down, kind of disappointing in general, right? With it being nerfed, right? It used to guarantee 2 plates, now it's like 1.5, and that just kind of feels also like a scam, just like the VCS this day, with no action being happening, and yeah. It's kind of tough, right, to live with that one. You basically, despite being Rebel Fox yourself, you're almost out of Rebel coins, as you're getting scammed way too much.
That's true. I have been getting scammed basically from season 1. I put it all into cryptocurrency, believing that that was worth something, and ended up crashing. Then I was all on
we all know how that went.
Yeah, everything went very, very badly, very, very quickly. So now I'm just back to normal Rebel Francs, which is the proper cryptocurrency to use for most of your internet medium, in case anybody was curious what that was going to be. So, 3,000 gold advantage? Is that what I'm reading right now? 4,000 gold advantage?
Almost 4,000.
No, it's about 4,000 gold advantage that's coming through from the side of Team Wales. Can you believe this? Did you walk into the split expecting Team Wales to be this insane, like this competitive? Because they walked out of their first series with one of the more commanding 2-0s I think that we had seen, even though it was against a team that was maybe not at the top of our charts or not somebody that we were looking at super fervently. But beating now SBTC, who has beaten Team Secret, who's beaten Saigon Buffalo, you're talking about a team that right now, compared to strength of schedule of all the other squads, has to be up there. So is this your expectation for what this Wales squad has been able to do so far?
The short answer would be no. The long answer would be I was demonstratively basically having no idea who's going to win the series. I was expecting it close to 1 either way, and that's quite not looking like it. I mean, gotta say though, like maybe beating Team Secret, who bet Saigon Buffalo, is not that big of a feat, as Saigon Buffalo has looked horrendous in week 1, I gotta say.
Yes.
I mean, we were kind of softening the blow earlier on the pre-desk, where we were saying like they lost both series 2-1, and I guess that's kind of fair. But I think beating Team Secret 2-0 maybe just isn't that much of an accomplishment right now, as they, of course, in their own right, are a fine team. And the 2-0 also kind of being a misleading score, as it was this one game where Dire 1 and Kassadin was just hitting level 16 and then the game was over, and it could as well have been a loss either way. SBTC in this series not looking too dominant, and Team Wales looking very, very good. I mean, I'm very, very surprised, especially with the way they are playing overall. I mean, the top side we knew they were strong, but Vid and B, even if Vid isn't really like putting on stellar performances, he was holding his own in game 1 and in this game 2. He's one of those players with the lead, and if he doesn't choke this game out, I think we can stop calling him a fraud.
I would want to be, in a circumstance where I could be able to do that, but so far I just need that proof in the pudding before I'm able to do anything. Because so far it has been all Team Wales more than the side of SBTC. Of course, here's what really is going to happen: is like Team Wales is going to be SBTC, and then they're going to lose to Team Secret, and they're going to lose to Saigon, and then we're going to have like a 4 or 5 way tie for like 3rd place in the middle of the split out of absolutely nowhere, and then we're going to be up with a very traditional standing, such as VCS kind of tradition. As much as I would like to see something other than that, it seems like that's always the case. I am just really shocked that, like, again, I expected so much from SBTC being able to be competitive at the top possible level. They've got so many good players that is just astonishing to me that they aren't able to put together a roster that is, competitive at the absolute top level here, where they're sitting. Elsewhere on the map, it is they just want Nagia so bad. The flash was interesting because if it was an empowered Q, I could see why that would have saved life. But it was just a normal Q that he was flashing for. Now mid lane, Rift Herald being dropped down as well. Seems like Team Wales, or my apologies, Team Wales actually in the blue. They're the ones that are kind of killing everything because they've got this Rift Herald, they've got a bunch of other kind of neutral objectives to work with. Slater has to flash away, just barely gets away. But now Big Inner is going to take a crash and is going to be able to lose that one. Now it's a question of whether they want to escort it to the inhibitor tower, but it doesn't look like they're going to actually do that. Yeah, they're not going to do anything absolutely crazy. Instead, they'll say, okay, we won 6,000 gold on that play. Why would we ever care? Well, one of it, Glory got a lot of it, and Vic got a lot of it. That's 2 of the biggest damage dealing members on your team. Vit right now is actually, or my apologies, Glory is sitting on insane CS per minute. He's 185 in 16 minutes, so it's well over 10 per minute. Like, they have done very little to slow down the pacing of Team Wales up to this point. That's a big arrow. Is that a dead Rumble? I think, no, it's not quite. They had to burn Flash, and it was a burnt Lulu ultimate in order to get there. They can just turn right back on.
Yeah, they can do it, and I think Nagia, who could have kept the flash, but overall, I think he's fine dying if it gets the team 2 turrets in the mid lane and all that massive gold. And you were saying Glory having quite of nice CS per minute numbers, and on the opposite side, I mean, Dire 1 having a very dire game overall. I mean, he's down more than 50 CS on this Rumble pickup. It was a pick he deliberately chose to play against it, and he's basically just he's stuck doing this, right? Just going for these cheesy roaming dive plays onto the enemy top laner for little gain in the bigger scheme of things. Of course, Nagia, we said before, no Fury, he still flashes for the Q. I mean, that's all Dire 1 can do, like, just roam with his team, put some value to really make this dive a little bit easier, because otherwise than that, he's a full level down to this chase, down 50 CS, he doesn't really bring any other value to the table, and can't really 1v1 him in the longer lanes. He would just get one down there.
Not really kind of able to actually accomplish anything that you would want to at this particular junction. And slowly, Team Wales has risen their gold lead little by little. And it hasn't been in these massive kind of sways. It hasn't been one massive team fight that's given like 3,000, 4,000 gold. It hasn't been a Baron yet anytime soon. It's in 2.5 minutes until it comes up. But instead, it has just been kind of these individual plays. It's only been 1 kill, but finding the towers, finding the structures, catching additional waves, just making sure that gold is going into the pockets of their players instead of going into the pockets of the ground because nothing else is there to pick them up, or they're just kind of strewn about. A worst case scenario, they kind of burned with the rest of their mains, which would be really, really miserable to think about. But one way or another, it is Team Wales who walk out here very, very early in the morning in North America. I am excited to see what this is kind of doing for us. Because, again, SE, they beat Genius, or my post, not Genius, they beat the team that beat Saigon Buffalo. So, like, we're almost Secret. In a lover's triangle here, Quincy. Yeah, Secret, my bad.
Oh, good. It's early in the morning in LA, either way. What I wanted to make a point of is a little bit malicious. Just now, Tier 1 finished his mythic item. It's 18 minutes into the game. Kind of late on that one, bro, but either way, we see the comparison to Glow, right? He's basically, considering the mythics are roughly equal and the boots are, he's basically a full Muamana ahead very soon when he gets those stacks up going for himself. So the mid gap is actually astonishingly huge, and while Tier 1 hard carried this one game for SBTC, this game he surely isn't, and it's 6,000 gold between those two teams right now. Half of that lead is on the mid lane itself, and it seems like an easy game for Team Wales. I mean, even the Renekton who's kind of behind, he's still like this decent mid-game bandit fixed champion that still has value as a God Drinker champion that can just at least threaten the backline a little bit, tangle a little bit for his team, and do just regular 5v5 team fight work, while the Fiora kind of doesn't, right?
I've been really impressed by the way that like Team Wales has actually been playing like this basically all series, where they're just clumping his 5 members. They're playing on 2 lanes at maximum, if not just 1 lane, to make sure that SE is spread about as thin as humanly possible. This is a strange circumstance because you have a TP'd mom coming in just at the end of Hike, and there's a couple of weird-looking creatures looking to yoink our kind of build supply type stuff. So I'm not sure exactly what that is, but we'll have to check it out.
Yeah, in general, like, this mid game seems to be collapsing for SBTC. I mean, the mid laner, I'm just harping on it way too much already, I think, but he's down very far. The Renekton kind of being the bandit fix, Maokai being ahead of the Sejuani, and Zeri is on 1 item, while the Varus is on 2. Of course, the Lethality items are very much cheap, but that is one thing that makes them strong. So basically on all fronts, Team Wales can fire on all cylinders here, and SBTC just gets to look if they can make any counterplay into them. It looks very, very dire to them. Next wave is spawning in 90 seconds already, and Wales will likely either force you to fight over this one, or they will get it for free otherwise. And it would be Hextech Soulpun for them at like 21 minutes into the game. Not a good outlook for you in general if you are SBTC.
Not at all. Walking into the kind of the tail half of this game, being down as much gold as they are, SBTC, how do they get themselves out of a situation like this? Because they're down objectives, they're down gold, so they're not team fighting anybody. Their scaling isn't particularly great either. Like this composition they put together outside of the Fiora really isn't going to be accomplishing all that much.
Zeri kind of good too, but either way. The Glacial Prison not hitting in the mid lane means, of course, no further engage comes up by the side of SBTC, but that's the point, right? I mean, they have the Lulu, they have the Fiora, but with the Fiora makes it so they can't really do fair 5v5 team fights, and Rumble mid lane being that resource averse is not really good outside on the late game. He will just throw down an equalizer and maybe like force a flash or chunk somebody out, and that will basically be it. When other mid lanes would be doing way more, he would see the Nature's Grasp engage coming out, just some old straight, but maybe they can kill Palette with a snipe. They can't.
It's insane. 21 minutes into this game, I was expecting some more kills. We're back to 2 kills as opposed to anything else. Is both teams just kind of back up out of that very, very rough situation. I was surprised the Dragon hadn't been taken quite yet, but it only just now is it coming back up for the, what is effectively 3rd time. So now that you're going to be able to see the new Miss School teacher, you'll get a chance to kind of talk to her and whatever else you might be having questions about their little buddy.
And here we see the Drake being taken by them, and DNK not even looking to contest this one. It would even be an objective bounty, but seems like SBTC is looking to trade it for some damage on this mid lane tier 1 turret. They can't even finish that one off, as their damage is so little overall that they need to respect every angle that Wales maybe would be coming from. I mean, it would be pretty obvious, it would be the Drake angle, either way of that. Hextech Drake taken uncontested for a bit of chip damage on the mid lane tier 1 turret, and that just tells you how dire the situation really is for SBTC. They can't even trade a single turret for this Drake.
It's even worse. I mean, Fiora isn't quite able to finish up that top tower. I was wondering, by the way, that she actually looked at the agent right after this, that she turns into something special. And we're back to the Baron dance here. Crincy, as Team Wales kick off the Baron, they're going to say, do we start? What are we doing here? Am I marking it? What am I doing? They actually have it melted down pretty decently. They've got a number of members that are actually really, really good at some of the math and some of the numbers.
Please don't flip this Baron. Please don't flip this Baron. You're so far ahead. You don't need to give SBTC any chance. Oh, they will really flip this Baron, right? They will flip this Baron.
Little bit right here. That is going to be a Baron buff. That's going to be a fight afterwards as well. That's given immediately over to the Zeri. So that's 1 member down. Oh, actually, okay, decent damage on the way out. We'll see whether or not everybody gets caught or just a handful of people. As Glory wants a little bit more smoke, trying to find something, but cannot quite find exactly what they're looking for. So after everything's said and done, we're still at 1-1, but this time now with the Baron buff, it's 7,000 gold advantage, Mountain Soul advantage. There are very few buffs that can actually get Wales out of the house that he doesn't feel amazing happening right now. Just because of one bad play. Again, it was Milk going bad that ended up actually costing this one, Crincy.
Yeah, I mean, what can we really say? Yeah, I usually want to like congratulate teammates for this great Baron setup, but it kind of wasn't. The vision was nice, but them actually being in this situation where it's close to being a flip is kind of a disaster on its own. They at least use some CC to prevent DNK from jumping into the pit with the Nature's Grasp being pulled out. They managed to get the smite down without DNK entering the pit. Either way, they sacrificed Relectant Plush for this Baron, which I think overall is a more than okay trade, because I mean, while Relectant Plush is very, very valuable, so is the Baron, and the Baron just nets you more in the long run, so you can definitely justify this decision by the side of Team Wales. The Baron will, I think, not quite translate into this Hextech Soul point itself, where they can really start Hextech Soul, but beforehand, the 3 minutes where you can just wrap on all this map control, get the push going from either side, as you will see in the replay, that DR1 apparently got off-screen by the Jace. Yeah, I think Glory hits his abilities or doesn't, just flash into his face to kill him, and yeah, he did kill him at the end, so yeah. The better mid laner feasting on the worst mid laner.
Okay. We can appreciate that one. A little bit of bloodthirst never hurt anybody, especially in games like this where we've got 4 kills at 25 minutes into the game. Now, what we expect from VCS, this is something we expect. I think you called it earlier. This is actually just LCK more than anything else, which is fair. I think that's a reasonable place to land. Looking for an engagement now. DNK is able to jump on top of the Renekton, but Nagia is not going to fall victim for it. And the Kane's angle is very legitimate. Look at the damage that's being dropped on the Slayer. Slayer should be super careful, or he's going to end up dying from anything else. And that should open up bottom inhibitor. They can play on the cross map all that they want here on the side of Glory.
Yeah, and they just brute forcing a TP on the wave to secure the push coming through. It will likely be the inhibitor. Maybe a Hail Mary play by the side of SBTC. They have the Hextech gates. They could just go for a wraparound flank, but they decide against it. The poke is so massive. I mean, at some point you just have to pull the trigger and try to win the game with a flank play or any sort of hard engage. Otherwise, this poke composition from so far ahead will just knock you out.
Yeah, it was a situation where obviously they had no idea what we would be walking into, but we had the positive revelation that we could have been playing games and playing with Micah as he slowly climbed his way through Diamond, but just decided not to because the GN is completely different now, so I wouldn't worry about too much.
As we see that, next wave coming up in 1 minute. There won't be Baron buff, as I said before, but they already have this inhibitor bot lane push coming through with the super minions creeping in. Luckily for the SBTC, it is a bot lane inhibitor, so it is the one close to the Drake. It will not be that huge of an impact. Top lane inhibitor would be way better in that situation. Either way, Fiora not being in a team fight, and here it is engage. Yeah, Bit just easily killing off DNK with the Maokai already being landed kill to the Palat, and DR1, I mean, he's kind of useless right now. He just brings up damage and not quite that much of it, so to say. So he can just look as Team Wales is just stampeding over them in that situation, despite not being the Buffaloes themselves. Going away with 2 kills for 0, and with this poke competition, they just threaten to end right here, right now.
Quincy Emperor was trying there for a hot second to get something going on the cross side of the map. They just are not able to. Now it's going to require an absolutely insane and nutty run. Slater is one of the very few that could try to make this happen. Not going to get shoved out quite yet. Might be just a little bit fearful of being tagged by a random Bronq and getting stunned up and just getting absolutely run over. But it appears as though they have weathered the storm for the moment, where SE, rather than losing their base in the moment, will eventually go kind of start working for Amazon, start working as one of these bird technicians. Because it is one of the best things that I do. It is my area of expertise outside of League of Legends. This is the replay from earlier.
Yeah, this is a replay from earlier. Here we see the fight being pulled off. I think it was an Ash Arrow combined with the Nature's Grasp coming out by the side of the NK, but it's actually the latter engage, as it was actually started by Nagia just walling in as a Renekton, using his Ruthless Predator to get 1 stun really going on his way, and with the fight being forced. Team Wales being so far red, it's easy 2 kills for them. As I said before, DR1 not really bringing any damage to the table. That's all he really does at this point. So the call to end after those 2 picks, I think, was a bit optimistic, and they also shunned away from that themselves later on. But they also got the Hextech Soul on the way out of it, as Emperor wasn't even trying to contest it, was TPing offensively to the top lane wave just to get this turret knocked down. Luckily for him, he at least got that. I mean, it sounds dumber than it actually was. I mean, it's a decent objective bounty, and they would lose the fight anyway. So actually might as well do that one. That's actually something that looks stupid, but is okay to play. Either way, he is not really in control to win or lose this game, so might as well do the best in a bad situation.
try to make something happen at very least. That's an engagement into the back line. Now, actually, on the front line, the Polymorph keeps multiple members locked down quite a bit. Nagia is going to go down immediately as Killer Queen needs to find a decent way out. Otherwise, just sustain your way through, but it's not going to happen. The Chain CC was just too heavy for a handful of members here on the side of Team Wales.
Glowy still just wants to fight.
Oh, okay. There's the riposte, but it just did not matter, as Camille's usually ready for that.
Glowy is so angry that his top side was ending this last sequence of play where they were really just going in with no follow-up being possible, so it was just Slater slowly chipping away of those two and just killing them. Glowy, with XX Soul Jace being very, very fat, just still wants to really do some damage to SBTC to shun them away from the Baron, and he actually succeeded in doing so. Killer Queen and Nagia will respawn in time to really make it something that they would have contested if it would be a Baron rush by the side of SBTC from behind. So those two respawn being now. It should just be Team Wales still being in control of the game. And for the Baron, this bot inhibitor is very, very massive that this is being down, as it's the objective far away from the lane that gets the free super minion push going through. So SBTC, luckily for Team Wales, at some point will have to decide, do we defend the super minions or do we contest the Baron? Likely they can't do both.
That's the benefit of having that kind of cross inhibitor to set up your neutral objectives that they can go for Baron and such without having to worry too crazily. They haven't put down a ward quite yet. I think they're going to wait and see the most minimal possibility that exists. That red ward did spot, I think, at least a good number of them, whether it was everybody running, whatever the circumstance might be. A lot of them were in there with us when we had actually run this. And so,
don't flip Baron,
please. For those people, 3,000 gold. Maokai ultimate popped up. Maokai gets it, and that is a very dead Sejuani. That might spell doom for this team, as they can kind of just run up mid lane, grab the inhibitor tower, grab the inhibitor, and not worry about it in the slightest. Which is a really terrible prospect. It would be a really lame game for the series and the games to end here, Crincy. But honestly, perhaps some of the most fitting, because this really, really was a clown shield more than anything else. I feel like this should have been so much better for the side of SBTC, and yet here is Team Wales with this amazing plan who come out and absolutely dismantle SE.
Yeah, and Team Wales, even in the win, I cannot really congratulate them too much, other than on the win likely, as DR1 still trying to wave clear this off. The Baron push is still going strong for the side of Team Wales. They killed DNK early on, so it will be 5v4 in this sequence of play. With DNK just now respawning though, it will likely not be the push of the end for them, as inhibitor in the mid lane just now gets down. They don't even go for this open inhibitor in the bot lane, and I can't really fault DNK for trying to steal that one. He shouldn't even get into the pit, is what I would really criticize Team Wales for, and he got there. Lost the flip, sadly enough, for the side of SBTC, but luckily for us, this just means that the game might just end a tad bit sooner, and Team Wales could reward themselves with this victory.
Wow. I'm a bit baffled. Everything that has happened inside of this game. I'm waiting for one big pick with the Ash arrow to kind of make the difference maker inside of a game like this. Again, if you're able to keep the arrow withheld for everybody else, not knowing where exactly it's going to be, putting it across that high kind of raised terrain is a pretty solid move. That's the Archon. Gonna drop down. Do you drop down more soldiers? I can appreciate that if you've got soldiers. Yeah, that's going to be one going down here for the side of SE, as they are just trying to hold the line more than anything else right now. That's going to be two, as B is able to grab one now player heading up on that side.
Slater?
Able to find Gwen, but that is just about it. Slater is able to find good things fall apart, and oh my goodness. What a series coming out from the side of Team Wales. I would never have expected 2 30-plus minute games would have led to such an insane dominating win for the side of Team Wales. But yeah, here we are. Honestly, looking like the best team inside of the VCS after the wins that they've gotten over two pretty solid teams, especially SBTC, who is also undefeated. I mean, those are dubs